The UFO files, I'm presuming you've seen all the footage that's been released.
Well, most of it, there's a redundancy after a certain point.
I mean, it's this kind of stuff where they're showing objects flying through space.
Typically, it's monochromatic and very low resolution, as this is. That's correct.
Was any of it compelling to you?
No, it's something that we don't know what it is. Let's back up. Even UFO enthusiasts of the most severe kind would agree that most sightings of what we call UFOs have natural explanations. That you just didn't know what you were looking at, and then you figure it out later. Is it a cloud formation? Is it lightning? Is it twilight conditions? Sure. But then there's some that no one knows how to explain. I don't have a problem with that. There's some that are sort of interesting. I like the Tic Tac. Tic Tac is fun.
Oh, yeah, the Tic Tac.
The famous Tic Tac.
What's interesting about that?
Well, because I don't know what it is. I'm a scientist. We are attracted to things that we don't know or understand. Attracted to them. It's cool. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah. And you can see it move in one of the frames. And you can see it sort of gimbal in one of the frames. So let's see, it's coming up in just a second. And of course, it's combined with the statements of the pilots, how shocked they are and how surprised. There it is. That's kind of fun. It looks like one of the alien spacecraft that Steven Spielberg showed in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But that's not what intrigues me. What intrigues me is we have whistleblowers saying we have actual aliens. So give me the actual alien.
Do you think if we did, we would tell the public?
People have testified we have aliens, that we have alien crash parts, that we have reverse engineered alien technology, that we have no end of movies portraying aliens. And somebody says, oh, we're not ready to see an actual alien. Of course we're ready. Hollywood has prepped us for decades for this day. I think it'll be charming. What would surprise me most is if the alien were humanoid. Most Hollywood renderings of aliens are humanoid, with a head, 2 eyes, a nose, mouth, ears. Oh, they're bald. Okay. Or they're pointy ears, or but they're still walking, and they still got elbows and fingers and knees and
like this.
And
I mean, we've got ones like this as well.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a good ET. This looks like the xenomorph, and this one looks like Predator. Okay. So notice, they all have eyes. There's a mouth, there's teeth, because teeth are scary. And this is humanoid. These are humanoid. This is a little more reptilian, I would say. It's definitely vertebrate, but it has a tail. So these are humanoid characters. I would be most surprised if the alien was humanoid.
What would you expect them to be based on the atmosphere of the universe?
I would expect it to not be humanoid. Most life on Earth is not humanoid. And we have DNA in common with all life on Earth. And most life is not human. Oak trees, worms, lobsters, none of those life forms are humanoid. And so here we are. We have, oh, by the way, the xenomorph is not building spaceships. So if this comes to Earth, it's because we brought it here, not because it flew. Okay? Based on its conduct. It looks like it just want to be parasitic. E.T. has fingers and it looks like E.T. can build a spaceship. And this is just a hunting mission with the alien. Notice that its eyes are even the same separation of our eyes. So there's an actor in this costume, and the actor is human. That's really what this comes down to. Yeah, that's good photos you got here. Oh, hey. So in the book, I didn't come up with these. I stumbled on the fact that people who care about sightings, not UFO sightings, alien sightings, people who've said they've seen aliens. By the way, like I said, that whole exercise didn't reach the fever pitch until you had whistleblowers saying they've met aliens under oath in Congress and not the drunkards coming out of the bar at 2 a.m. Okay. So they divide into archetypes. So little green men, that's, we had a lot of those back in the 50s and 60s. And of course, the fact that we would even use the adjective men meant they're humanoid. Okay, little green men. So that's one variety. Another one, what do we have here? This one is much more common today. The grays, okay, the gray alien color. These also tend to be bald. So these are the two most common. And then there are others, Arcturians, they're from the star Arcturus, Lyrians from the constellation Lyrae, the harp in the sky.
We'll put these on the screen for anybody.
Sirius is aliens from the star system Sirius. So in my book, there's a dozen of them. Oh, the tall whites. Oh, insectoids. This is a good one. I love this one because we hate insects. I can't speak for everyone. Insects are ugly to most humans, right? So if you have a creature that resembles an insect, you don't want to become friends with it.
If you listen to people that have done DMT, they often
They
often cite seeing or meeting these types of
and the commonality of that is intriguing. Rather than jump to a conclusion that they're all having some common interdimensional experience, it's easier for me to think that they all have human brains and the chemical is exciting the same part of each one of their brains and thereby sharing in some experience that, and plus people, I don't know if they've done this across cultures. The English-speaking cultures have reported many more alien sightings than other cultures. Vastly more sightings, which is a little weird. So either aliens just like visiting English-speaking countries, or we just know better how to report what we see, which is probably what it is. But you go to other countries, they don't have this alien fixation.
Have you ever done psychedelics?
Never.
Are you curious about it?
Not really. Because the human brain barely works as it is. Barely. Just open up any book of optical illusions. Turn to any page. Oh, is it bigger or is it smaller? Is the line in the page, out of the page? I can't figure it out. Simple drawings confound your perceptions of reality.
But doesn't that mean that reality is fragile?
Yes. And so if I want to now stir chemicals into my brain as a scientist who values what is objectively true, since my brain barely works as it is, to put in chemicals, it's not clear to me that that gets me closer to any reality at all. And it's reality that I value in this world. So that's why I haven't done psychedelics.
What I think about is if I can inhale something and suddenly my subjective experience of reality is entirely, it's 4K and I am somewhere else, does that not then mean that my current subjective experience of reality is as fragile as an inhale?
Sure.
And then,
well, it's chemicals. So it's a reminder that your brain functions based on electrochemical signals.
But does that mean,
and to put some other chemicals in there to disrupt it, to rechannel it, sky's the limit.
But does that mean that reality itself is just a bunch of chemicals?
There are philosophers who like thinking about that and debating it and arguing it. I tend to be way more practically minded in that conversation. Okay? In that I can perform an experiment outside of your five senses, and it will get a result that everyone coming together to look at that result will agree on.
That's one of my senses, though, looking.
Sure, but if you don't have that sense, then you can't participate in that exercise. I'd find some way for you to then be able to identify it. But I can create a measurement of ultraviolet light. You can't see ultraviolet light, but I have a detector that fires, and you can look at the detector firing, okay? And so there it is. I've measured ultraviolet light, and I didn't need your eyes, your retina, or your brain to make that measurement. So when Einstein said E equals mc squared, and that became the foundation of atomic weapons that we then drop in warfare, killing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, you can't tell me, oh, it's just our imagination, or that's just chemical thing. That is a real phenomenon based on real physics, drawn from an objective reality that we established while not doing drugs. And so that's why it took so long to develop science, to separate measurements of an objective reality from the neurochemical synapses of your brain.
Isn't it all, though, observation? Isn't that what science is?
Yeah, so if I can have a device that makes a measurement and most people who look at that can agree of what that thing is, if I'm a betting person, I would bet that that is a representation of objective reality.
So we can measure our current
If I bring
reality.
a completely crazy person to it, they're not going to know how to, and so how do I value their interpretation of the data? And is it subjective? Are we the crazy ones, and is that person the normal one, right? So these are legitimate questions, but they're answerable using the methods and tools of science for what is repeatable in this world and what is not.
And this world is a experience manifested by the chemicals in my brain. So we're measuring this reality that we live in.
If you inhale something and there's a whole other reality, well, you're right now inhaling oxygen and you have this reality. How many other realities can you visit?
Yeah.
And which is the real reality?
Yeah.
And all I would say is, I make mention of it in the book, people on DMT have these shared experiences. So let's do experiments on that to see if can one person experience an insectoid, glean information from that psychedelic alien that matches someone else's information. That's how you would probe this. Otherwise, you say, oh, it's real, and then we'd start a new religion. I can tell you that if there was a drug that if you imbibed it, and by whatever means, if it got me closer to an objective reality, I would do it.
An objective reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I said, the brain barely works. Now, is there a better objective reality? Well, that's why we have science. I have tools that measure infrared and ultraviolet and X-rays and gamma rays and magnetic anomalies and electrical currents. And I can measure all these things. And your brain is irrelevant to those measurements.
I had a physicist come on and he said that we can only see that which we need to see in order to survive. And thus, if you look at a bat or another species of animal, even here on the earth, or a dog.
Well, evolutionarily.
Yeah. So theoretically, there could be spirits in this room now, but because they're inconsequential to my survival, I actually don't even need to be able to see them. I didn't need to develop the senses to be able to know that they were here.
That's why science has dozens of senses. We've gone beyond human physiology in the sciences. So that's why I don't have to have that conversation about my reality versus any other alternative reality and which one is real. That's why science exists. We have the microscope that gets us into the realm of the small, the telescope that gets to the realm of the large. Your senses have no access to either of those places. The Dead Sea in the Middle East was called dead because there were no macroscopic fishes there, because the salt level is so high. But they're microbes doing the backstroke. Okay? And salt-resistant microbe. So they couldn't see those, so their reality missed something. Yes, your reality is going to miss things that are not otherwise going to put your health at risk, evolutionarily. But science changed that forever. Deal with it.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, a lot of it's predicated on, believing in my observable experience. And
you don't have to, because, like I said, we have tools. That's why I can look in the sky and say, wow, what is that? I don't know what this. I pull out binoculars, tools. Oh my gosh, it's a drone. And I can see it better with higher resolution, and it's brighter. Oh, what is that over there? I don't know what that is on the horizon. Oh, it's a bear crawling on the side of the thing. It's not some alien. You bring out the tools, supplement your senses.
And these are all observational tools.
Those that I just mentioned, yes. But there are others that you can test things without observing them. You can look at what effect they have on something else, for example.
If a couple of chemicals are responsible for this entire experience, like the things that I feel, touch, smell, hear, is it plausible then that actually...
It's more than a couple, but your sentiment is accurate.
Yeah. Is it then plausible that we are just a bunch of chemicals in a petri dish somewhere that are creating a subjective experience, and that subjective experience manifests as a universe that I can see, this iPad that I can touch, but actually we are just a chemical reaction in a petri dish that some aliens are doing? Because if chemicals are my entire subjective experience...
It's way more likely that we are just a simulation.
Yeah, I think we probably are a simulation. I think I've concluded.
That's based on what you just said. It's if we have to be in a petri dish, it's more likely that we're simulated by some snot-nosed kid in its alien parents' basement.
That was a biological simulation I described.
Yes, it was. So, like I said earlier, the laws of physics are different on different scales. You can't just put us in a petri dish and have us behave the way chemicals and microorganisms would behave, like bacteria, that sort of thing, would behave in a petri dish. Petri dish is ideal sized for bacteria, not for us in some larger petri dish. No, we function differently with our environment than microbes do in a petri. You can't just scale it up as much as people would want to. That would make everything easier. We're just nested dolls.
Do you believe that we're in a simulation? Do you think it's plausible?
I don't want to believe it.
You don't want to believe it?
I don't want. I'm whiny about that.
Why?
No, nobody wants to be a simulation. My best argument that we're not, or rather, my best way to improve the odds that we're not, is just to remind you how the simulation argument works. You have some universe, and then they have computers that are very powerful. They simulate a world within the computer, and the life forms in that world believe they have free will. So there they are. It's like a video game, right? And then they say, I'm bored, I'm going to make computers. So they invent computers, and then they create a video game inside their computers. And then it's video games all the way down. Okay? Okay. So if I close my eyes and throw a dart, which universe am I most likely to hit? The one that started them all, or the 999 bajillion that followed? Probably one of the ones that were manufactured, which argues strongly that we're in a simulation. However, the only universes that could create other worlds are the ones that have the capacity to create other worlds. Okay? So each one of these in this sequence had the computing power to create a whole other world. That's why it continued the sequence. We, humans on Earth, do not yet have the power to create an entire other universe with people in it who have what they believe is free will. We don't have that power yet. Because of that, we are not one of the ones in the sequence, because everyone in the sequence has the power to create another universe, and they did. We don't have that power, which means we are either the very first universe in that sequence or the very last that has yet to achieve the power of simulation. So we go from, 100 bajillion to 1 likelihood that we are to maybe 1 and 2. And I like those odds.
Does this not assume that the creators of the simulation modeled their universe as being a one-to-one copy of our own, and they wanted us to have?
No, but they can make any kind of universe they want. Who cares? Not a one-to-one copy. This universe happens to have like planets and stars and people in it. The other one could just be Mario characters.
Probabilistically, I think I've heard Elon Musk say that he thinks probabilistically this is a simulation, which I thought was compelling. And he did reason that, they've got these 3 potential options. Either humanity just blows themselves up before they get to this technological advancement. Either this is a simulation, or either this is space reality. Those are the 3 plausible outcomes. And one would say, it being base reality is highly improbable. Do we blow us?
Why is that highly improbable?
The size and scale of the universe and the speed in which we've gone from being like, frankly, relative speed of cavemen to being able to do large language models of vast intelligence and VR simulations. It's like this Cosmos taught me this. It's like this.
Well, it's actually not like that. It's not. Can I explain why?
Sure.
Okay. So it's simply exponential growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. So if you plot Earth's population, very common encounter with an exponential curve. Okay? So you have a plot and you have time. Go back, I don't care how much time it is. You go back and it's like almost flat line and then it goes up. This is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It happens like this. That is the plot of an exponential on linear graph. Okay? Here's what all exponentials have in common. If you truncated it somewhere here, let's say, so go back 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, and then replotted it, it would do this. Go back again, replot it, it would do this.
Yeah.
Everybody in an exponential thinks they're living in special times.
Yeah.
They think that all the greatest, most important discoveries happened recently. Yes, that is true, but it's true for everybody along the exponential. When we invented the car, the automobile, no one is saying, look how backwards we are. They're saying, look how advanced we are. We now have an automobile, and we have railroads that cross the lands, and we have steamships that cross the ocean. Look at how advanced we are. Look how far we've come in just decades.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.